Welcome, welcome. We're going to be getting started here in a little bit. And if you can hear me, type, I can hear you. If you hear me talking, want to test and make sure everything is good, type, I can hear you. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, type, I can hear you. You should be able to type it into the chat box. You do this test. If you can hear me, type in the chat box, I can hear you. Okay, I'm not getting a response. Okay, great, great, great. It is always so scary to, this technology, as much as you love it, if it doesn't work, then you end up hating it. So we're going to be getting started here in a couple of minutes, giving people time to get logged on. I know it's right after work. Some people are stuck in traffic, trying to get through the traffic. And I see my camera seems to be a little bit delayed. I hope it catches up with itself because I love webinars when they work. It's a really fantastic tool. When they don't work, it can cause fear. And the fear is something that we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm real excited. So we're giving a couple of more minutes for a few more people to join at 6:59, and we're going to be getting started here in just a minute or two. So thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining me tonight, because this is going to change your life, I guarantee you. In a couple of minutes. I'm glad that tonight I'm in Dallas, Texas, and last night at this time it was very shaky. We were having a hailstorm and it sounded like my house was going to blow over. And 3 weeks ago we had a hailstorm and my skylights broke and everything. So the insurance company hasn't, we're just in the midst of all of that. So it was very frightening to have another storm come along and to think, oh my goodness, here we go again. So we did sustain some more damage, but I'm glad that was last night and not tonight, because if it was tonight and we're trying to have this webinar, that would not have been so good. You're talking about afraid. That would have been one of those things that we would have had to just deal with and either reschedule it, because the noise was tremendous, because the hail was about the size of golf balls. In some areas, it was the size of softballs. So you can imagine the damage that was sustained here. But anyway, glad that's not tonight. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, because I do believe in timeliness, and the people that come and are able to be here on time, you want to make sure that you reward them. So I'm so excited that you're joining me tonight. Like I said, I love doing webinars because you can see me. I can't see you, but you can see me, and that's important. That's important to be able to connect with me and to who I am. And when you're listening to information being given, we are visual people. And so visually, you'll be able to see me, how I give the information, how I interact with you. And I am Dr. Gladney. I am the emotional wellness and mind doctor. And I travel the country getting the message out, helping people to understand how to use the power of their mind to manage their lives. So much goes on in our lives, and nobody taught us how to do life. There is not a life class to say, okay, when this happens, this is what you do. When that happens, this is how you handle that. So my life's mission is to help you understand life and what to do with it, how to manage it. When life throws you those curveballs and something comes out of the left, you get a right hook, all of those things, it's like, what do you do? A lot of times we find ourselves on a crossroads in life. We don't know which direction to take. How do you know if I go this way, if I go that way? Some of the life choices that we make, consequences follow. And you're not trying to have negative consequences in your life, but who tells you what to do with all that? And how do you manage that? So that's a part of what I do, and I help people to manage their lives. So now, does that mean that my life is great and I don't have to manage it? I'm constantly managing it every single day. And I really tell people that because I am called to do this, my life is even tougher than some people's lives, because I have to really learn and understand what it is to be able to really help you. So I have some stories that I tell you, life, the journey. So I'm constantly given the opportunity to practice what I preach. So in practicing what I preach and going through the motions, my gifts are to give you help in every area, solutions, strategies that will help you gain a better understanding of life. So I'm excited to have you with me tonight. Tonight we are talking about the secrets to overcoming fear and procrastination. Now, this is something that everybody deals with us with. Every one of us deals with fear. So in getting started, I want to tell you that there are really only two emotions that we have. There are two emotions. And one of those emotions is love, and the other emotion is fear. It is a part of our makeup and a part of who we are. So all of the other emotions, the negative emotions, come from fear. So if you think about all the other types of emotions, you have, anger, um, distraught, disbelief, anxiety, a lot of those, hatred, a lot of that comes and is steeped into fear. Of course, the positive ones is easy to identify that they're connected to love. And so understanding and knowing that fear is really the foundation that drives the negative emotions, when you understand what to do with fear, you're going to have a better life. It's something that God placed within us to have fear. And fear is good and it's natural. It was placed there in order for us to be able to regulate and know danger. If you think about children, children do not know fear. Children do not have fear. We basically teach them fear. We teach them, oh no, you can't touch that. That's hot. They don't know what hot is. They don't know if they stick something in the socket that could damage them. They don't know that. They are taught fear. So we really come into this world fearless. They don't know if I step off that curb, if I run out in the street. And those are all danger points. When they learn danger and when they learn how to fear certain things, that danger can keep them safe. So understanding that fear has its place. What happens though is that we don't separate fear. We don't separate the real fear from the imagined fear. So we're going to talk about fear first because it has so much to do with procrastination. Now, I'm going to encourage you to get your iPad, get your notebook, get an old-fashioned piece of paper and pen to take some notes. Because when you learn things about life, you're not going to remember all of this. But when you write it down and jot it down, you're going to remember. And generally, when I do webinars, sometimes I will have handouts up there and notes. But generally, and when I do speaking, I don't have handouts. I let people just take their own notes. And so I find that people learn more when you just take your own notes. So take your notes, because I'm going to give you a lot of tips and strategies. This is called The Secrets to Overcoming Fear and Procrastination for once and for all. I'm trying to get rid of this, because when I work with my individual clients, I work with corporate clients, I work with companies, organizations, I do speaking everywhere, but I also work with individual clients. And when I work with individual clients, everybody will put down that they are a procrastinator. And that comes from somewhere. So we're going to be unlocking and connecting where that comes from. So we have to deal with fear first, because it has something to do with fear. So understanding that fear is normal and fear is here for a reason. So first, we're going to talk about real fear. There's two types of fears. There's real fear and there's imagined fear. We're going to talk about real fear first, because real fear is what I was talking about earlier, the danger. When we teach kids how to fear and what to fear, we teach them about stranger danger. We know about that. We're afraid when we drive down certain streets, or you drive over bridges or whatever, because you know the danger that is involved. So that is real fear. People experience real fear generally because they've had some type of experience with the real fear. So people that are afraid of dogs are genuinely afraid of dogs because they've had some type of negative experience that was associated with that. And it makes them afraid of dogs in general. And they feel like that every dog is going to attack them because of that real fear. There's so many other different types of fears, but whether it's, other type of animals, because you know what that animal can do. Insects, that fly around, we all get afraid of that. And it's like, oh my goodness, because they can hurt you, they can sting you. Dangerous people, dangerous things. And so those are real fear. Unfortunately, there's some traumatic experiences that people have been through. Some of you may have been through some traumatic experience that causes you to fear people, to fear certain things. And so that fear is a real fear because it's attached to an experience. And working through that is a process. Working through something that's really real that has happened to you is a process. I'm going to touch on that first, the real fear, because I know about real fear. Just to give you a small example, I won't go in depth, but when I was in elementary school, I was abducted. I was abducted and taken, knife point. I was choked. So I had this real fear that I had to learn what to do with it. And unfortunately, back then, growing up, we didn't do a lot of counseling. People still don't go to counseling now, and that's something that we'll talk about. But my mother didn't know to put me into counseling. And so for me, it was something that I had to learn how to deal with and what to do with it, and even to get through it. And so understanding that is really important. And so the real fear, if you have experienced something that is real and it has happened to you, and now you're trying to get into another space, and when I work with a lot of clients, unfortunately some of them have been assaulted, sexually raped, so many different things, that is real and it takes a process. So I'm going to give you 5 steps that's going to help you deal with some real fear. So if you've had a real event, I want you, number 1, to understand this is not your fault. Whatever happened is not your fault. And it may be an accident. You say, well, Dr. G, it was an accident and I caused the accident. And so how can you say that wasn't my fault? So now I'm afraid to drive different places. It's an accident, wasn't meant to happen. So we all have to remember, and this is the real important thing, something traumatic has happened, it's not your fault. Because if you take the blame for that, it drives you into a space of depression and a lot of times despair because of the guilt of I caused whatever, and now look at the outcome. When we talk about life, I help people to understand that what has happened in your life is already set forth to happen in your life. It's just so amazing. Some things, yes, that we can avoid, but some of the life occurrences that happen, you can't do anything about that. Even if it would have been, we'll say, oh yes, if we could have come 5 minutes later, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But when things happen in your life, it's so important to know that it is not your fault. So when you can shift that over, then that helps you so you don't blame yourself. Because if you add on guilt on top of everything else, it's going to take you a long time to process through the fear. Number two, remember, if you can survive it, you can revive from it. And that is so important. The survival, and some things that have happened to people, it was very traumatic. And what happened to me was very traumatic. Fortunately, I survived it. I did not die. I was not hurt. I was not, obviously I was affected, but I wasn't stabbed, different things that could have happened. And you can revive from it. So understanding, and we are strong, resilient as humans. We are resilient people, and it's so amazing how resilient that we are. So know that you can revive from it. It didn't kill you. What doesn't kill you make you stronger. That song, doesn't kill you, make you strong. Okay, that's true. It will make you a stronger person. Number three, you have to declare the power over the fear. Now, while we're not going to be able to get deep into the mind, I teach so much when I talk about your mind as the emotional wellness and mind doctor. There's so much connection there because success begins with the mind. So declaring the power over the fear. I had to declare power over a man and any man that looked like this person. So I had to get to a point where I knew, first of all men are not dangerous. I'm going to not be afraid. And having that declaration to get through that, it's a mind thing to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to let this fear drive my life. So you have to declare the power of the fear. And then number four, this is a difficult one, but any lessons learned. This helps with the healing process. What lessons did you learn from this experience? So for me, I learned a lot of lessons. And even though I was young, walking alone, doing different things because I was walking by myself. So it was lessons. There's always lessons that are involved in everything. When you can write down the lessons, that puts you in a position of power. And number five, I always say, oh my goodness, seek counseling. Counseling is here to help us. In almost every company, everybody has it as a part of the health benefits in the plan. So seek counseling if you have experienced some real fear and some traumatic fear. That's real fear. So that's legit. Now I'm going to move to the imagined fear, because the imagined fear is what's really stopping you from getting where you want to go. The fear that I call imagined fear. You're imagining it. Now, these imagined fears really paralyze you. And I say, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? That's a question. What are you afraid of? We're not talking about the real fear. What are you scared of? What scares you? When you think about that, there are some things there's a list of things of imagined fears that scares people. There's fear of failure, fear of success, fear of loss, fear of what others think, fear of other people, and fear of yourself. I'm going to talk about those briefly. Okay, there's fear of failure. Why does that happen? Why are you afraid? Because you failed at some point in your life. You didn't make it. You tried to do something. You didn't win. You started a business. The business failed. You had a relationship. The relationship failed. You tried something else. You went for that new position. You failed to get it. in our minds, we're thinking fail is a bad thing. People have fear of failure. They say, I've tried that before, and just think it might be only one time that they've tried it, or two times. And they say, I've tried it before. And most of our inventions and things that we have, they had to do it and try it hundreds of times to see if it worked. But we get to the point, oh, 3 times is strike out, I'm done. So you have this fear of failure that drives you, and you won't try anything. So you'll get paralyzed and you'll say, it's not going to work. Your mind tells you it's not going to work. I'm not going to try that again. It didn't work. Or guess what? I was rejected. I was rejected 5 times. I heard no 20 times. And I was just listening to an interview the other day with Howard Schultz, who is the CEO of Starbucks, who incidentally is not the founder, but he's the CEO. And there's a great story behind this whole Starbucks phenomenon. And he said when he bought Starbucks from his employers, he used to be employed by them and the name wasn't Starbucks. Well, it was Starbucks and he started another company and then he merged it. But the point is, he was told no 200 times. He went say, I need money to open this up. 200 times he heard the word no. 200. Now, I ask you, how many times would it take for you to hear no before you said, oh, I'm not going to do it? They told me no 10 times, that's it, not going to do it. And it's funny because I've also been in the direct sales industry for over 35 years, which is network marketing, multi-level. I started as a teenager. And a part of the sales process is you're supposed to get 20 rejections just to get to one answer yes. And a lot of people don't do it because guess what? They're scared. They're afraid they're going to fail. So what are you afraid of? Is that one of your fears, that you're afraid of failure? Number 2, other people are afraid of success. And you go, what? That sounds crazy. How can you be afraid of success? Yes, people don't do things because they're afraid they'll succeed. What if I do succeed? What happens if I do lose all this weight? I'll become a person that I don't even know. Will I be able to handle that? What will that look like? And so people are afraid to try because of the success. I experienced some of that as well. Even when I wrote my book, if you're in the driver's seat, you can see the picture on my office wall. If you're in the driver's seat, Why Are You Lost? A Roadmap to an Amazing Life. And that was my 5th book. I wasn't afraid of writing books. I was afraid of the fact that when they wanted to put my picture on the front cover, and we went through all of this, and I was like, wow, well, then people will start to know who I am. And then what? I don't have the anonymity anymore. And then what's going to happen? And what happens if I really blow up? What kind of person will I be? And a little bit of fear started to come in and say, wow, do you really want to do that? Is that where you really want to go? Do you really want to be? So it's almost like you say, you know what? Let me keep my success back here. So we become afraid to succeed. That's imagined. Another one is afraid of loss. People don't get involved or do things because they're afraid they're going to lose something. They're afraid they're going to lose money. They're afraid they're going to lose a relationship. They're afraid, I'm going to not be attached to somebody because what if they leave me? Then I have lost. So people fear loss of different things. I won't buy a house because what if I lose my house? People say, I don't want to get married because what if it ends in divorce? I mean, all of those things, that fear blocking you. Fear of what others think. Oh my goodness gracious, I could spend all day on this one because I see this constantly. Fear of what other people think about you. And people move and groove to what other people think. So it's like, oh, I don't want anybody to think. How many times have you said that to yourself? I don't want anybody to think that and so you get into this pattern of really caring about somebody else. These people don't even know you. A lot of times they don't even know you because the people that know you, they love you. They love you for who you are. We walk around living our lives based on people that we don't know and people that don't really care about us. So what will they think about me if I do this, or if I say that, or if I wear this, or if I have that? or even more so, people are doing it. They are living their lives because of keeping up with the Joneses. They're living their lives because they want other people to think that they are great. And so you have to look at all of this and say, do I fall in that category? Am I living my life based on what other people think? Fear of others in general. Some people just fear other people and they would rather not be around people. So they have a fear of what that person can do, what they can take. And some of this turns into paranoia. And then a fear of oneself. That's deep. Fear of oneself. Are you afraid of yourself? What does that mean? I'm going to tell you. When you look at that face in the mirror and you look deep inside and you say, who is that person looking back at me? Sometimes you have to admit, you know what? That person might not be so good. What I mean by that is some of the attitudes and some of the thoughts and some of the things that you may do to other people. And we don't even want to get to know ourselves because we're afraid of what we'll find. Like, oh, did I just think that? Well, I'm a good person, but I thought ill of somebody. So sometimes we can be afraid of ourselves. And I came to grips with myself when my father, who didn't live with us and grew up in a single parent home, and, I wanted to I got my degree. I'm a doctor now. I can psychoanalyze you and figure out what's going on. So I went to visit my dad and I wanted to know, how can you leave your children? How do you just get up and leave your children and not ever connect or attach or care about them as they're growing up? I'm going to tell you something. When I sat down and looked at my father, I looked so much like him. And a lot of my ways were like his ways, as much as I thought how not a great person that he was. I had to confront that and say, wow, I'm a lot like him. And I remember looking at him and I had to embrace the good and the bad and the ugly. And I said, well, when they say apples don't fall far from the tree, just some of his thinking and attitudes. He's real entrepreneurial. He's this. And I told him, I looked at him and I said, you have met your match. Because, he intimidated people. My dad was really interesting. God rest his soul. He was a very interesting person. And I wasn't afraid of him. He had a way of making other people like get back out of his space. And I'm like, you have met your match. And I thought, ooh, girl, you're looking at yourself. Now that's something that you have to do. If you're afraid, then you won't accept and be able to change. I knew the things that I needed to work on by understanding. Fear of oneself. What fear is holding you back? What is paralyzing you? Ask yourself the question, what am I afraid of? I just gave you a list of things that is normal fear that keeps people from achieving. It keeps you from moving forward. So you're paralyzed. So now I'm going to give you some strategies that's going to help you to recover from this imagined fear. The fear, you've made it up. You have made up this fear that you have. So number one, recognize and acknowledge that it's just your imagination. You are just imagining this. So remember when you were growing up and maybe you had an imaginary friend? If you didn't go as far as to have an imaginary friend, I know you imagined other things and you played pretend. I used to pretend that I was a teacher and I would line up all the rocks on the driveway. Rocks, I know, go figure. We didn't have a lot of dolls. We didn't grow up like that. So I was playing with the rocks and I lined them up and I pretended they were my class. And I started teaching the rocks. And anything else, you have a story. What did you pretend that you were doing when you were growing up? Did you have the microphone? We all pretended. I used to pretend like I was Diana Ross. Reach out and touch. I mean, it was like, the pretend. It's made up. So you have to recognize and acknowledge that your fear is just something that you are pretending. It's an imagined fear. Number two, ask yourself these questions. Where does this fear come from? What experiences have I had that make me believe that this is real? Why do I believe that this is real? So, why am I afraid of speaking in public? And that's, if I can tell you the list of things that people are afraid of, and that it's about 40, 50% of the people that are afraid of speaking in public. It used to trump death. Now I think death is trumped public speaking, but people are genuinely afraid. And it's imagined. Why are you afraid? What experiences have you had that made you afraid of something like that, for example? Number three, you have to refocus your imagination. And guess what? Now we're getting ready to trick our brain. This is one of those secrets. And you have to know you can trick your brain. You're in control of your mind. Pretend that you're not afraid. Just like you can pretend that you have that microphone standing on that stage and all these people are singing and oh my goodness, pretend that you are not afraid. It's a subconscious thing. And so your brain only knows what you tell it. So if you tell your brain and your mind that you're not afraid, you're not going to act afraid. So it's like this acting skill that comes into play. And I know we all have acting skills. Pretend that you're not afraid. So, example, you're trying to do public speaking. Pretend that you're not afraid. Pretend that you are in your house in the mirror. And, your mind is very powerful. So it's like this little trick. You can just switch that around and you tell your brain that you're not afraid and your mind that you're not afraid, and you won't be afraid. So it's one of those amazing things that people don't know. And so when I started out speaking, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. So no, people say, well, do you ever get afraid? Do you ever? And I'm like, no, not really. I said, I get adrenaline rush. And it depends on the audience. I've spoken in front of 5,000 people before. And it's like, woo, these people are going to love what I have to say. And that's one of the other things that you'll understand, number 5. But I'm like, okay, you're not afraid. You're not afraid. Speaking that to yourself. I'm not afraid because why should I be afraid? They've come to hear me. Number 4, practice to work out your fears. So whatever you're afraid of, practice working that out. Again, using the example of public speaking, then practice. The more you practice, the more perfect you'll get. So practice working out your fears. And there's a lot of programs and a lot of things that take people through some things that will help them to work out their fears. And number 5, increase your knowledge. When you increase your knowledge, then you're not as afraid. So there's a saying, fear is high when knowledge is low. When the least knowledge that you have about something, the higher your fear. So for instance, when you understand how planes work and you really get that, you're not going to be afraid that they're going to fall out of the sky. When you understand the knowledge and the content that you're giving, at public speaking, when you know what you're talking about, you have no reason to be afraid. I know this information, so no, I'm not afraid to give it to you. I'm not afraid to stand up in front of the world because I know what I'm talking about. So you see how that builds up the confidence? So learn more, get more information, and that will help you to not be afraid. So overall, here's some more pointers and some more tips. And if you do have any question at any time, just type it in the chat box because I can see the chat box. If you have a question about this fear or what I'm saying, just type it in and I will answer your question. And this is the fun thing about this technology and how it's working. So overall, here's some strategies. Acknowledge that your fear exists. And I want to caution you not to let fear keep you on the wrong course. Sometimes you stay where you are because you're afraid to do something different. Don't let fear keep you on the wrong course. As well as do not let fear take you off the right course. Sometimes you're on the right course and you get afraid, and that's where the fear of success or something, and you go, oh no, and you get off onto another course. Make your own decisions for your life. Don't leave your decisions and what you do for your life because somebody told you that's not going to work. I know so many other people, they tried that, they did that. Oh, I've seen that before. It's the naysayers. And you tend to make decisions based on what other people are saying and what they think. And a lot of times we do this to our kids. I have 4 kids, and we do this to them. We will try to control their lives and what we think they should do and what we think they should major in and what's a good good course to be on. And you have to back up and say, it's their life. They have to make the decisions. Because a lot of times I hear people say, I just did this for my parents, or I did this because of, and that fear overwhelmed them. Now they're paralyzed, and that's where they are. Know that you have the power over fear. Start saying this, your mantras, your declarations. I have them here on my wall. And I am not afraid of blank. Fill in the blank. Make sure you say that to yourself every day. I am not afraid of blank, whatever it is. And becoming spiritually connected. You have to be connected spiritually to a higher power, to God. I'm a woman of faith. So for me, God is the grounding force that helps you to not be afraid, knowing that there is something else that's in control of all of this, and I'm not, because little me and my little nothing power, so that helps you to overcome fear as well, and as well to seek professional help. So that's fear. Now, I've given you a lot of tips and strategies on overcoming fear. Let me talk about procrastination, because this is where it comes in. A lot of times, guess what? You procrastinate because of fear, because of what I just talked about, one of these things. Procrastination, let me tell you the definition. It is the avoidance of doing a task which needs to be accomplished. You avoid doing something that you know needs to be done. It is the practices of doing more pleasurable things in place of a less pleasurable thing. And or carrying out less urgent tasks instead of something more urgent because you put it off for a later time. So you just go, oh, you know what? I don't feel like doing that. Oh, I'll get to it. Oh, yes, I need to clean out the garage. I don't want to do that. Oh, my goodness, it's going to take me all day. Don't want to do it. So guess what? Your car didn't get parked in the garage, and then you have a hailstorm like we had the other day. And it's like, oh, no, I always meant to do it. The procrastination. A lot of people, there's about 20%, statistics tells us about 20% of people chronically procrastinate, chronically. Now, I told you the majority of the people that I work with, they all put that down, that I do procrastinate and I need help with this. And so I always have to say, okay, so what do you think is the reason why you're procrastinating, why you're putting something off? Psychologically, I can tell you that it is a task that you really don't want to do, but a lot of times it's something that you're afraid of doing. So you're afraid of fear, or you're afraid of failure or success. And so one of those things will keep you from doing this. And then you attach an emotional feeling to the task, and you go, who wants to do that? Don't want to do it. Don't feel like doing it. So you put it off. And you know what chronic procrastinators say, and I used to say this, I do my best work when I'm under pressure. When I have that pressure. Now, I can tell you that as a writer and a creative person, that used to be true. But if I tell you all of the stuff that my body would go through physiologically because I was putting myself in this position and stressed out, not good. It's not a good thing. And so I had to learn, because I used to use that. Yeah, I'll put it off. Now, I am really creative at the last minute. And I would always tell myself, see, if you would have written this last week, you wouldn't have thought of this. So I kept myself in a space of stress. Choice. It's a choice. I kept myself in a state of stress. And then it's the last minute. It's like, oh no, the computer failed. This happened. And you say, oh, if you would have had time, you would have had time to work through this. So don't kid yourself. Don't do what I was doing and rationalize why you're putting things off, because then you're not getting things done. You're not being productive. And these are some of the things that procrastinators do, and you do if you're a procrastinator. You overestimate the time that it's going to take to perform a task, or you underestimate. So you say, oh, I can get this done in an hour. And then it ended up taking you 3 hours. And now you're stressed and now you're panicked. You overestimate how motivated you need to feel to do this. You feel like, oh, I need to have some, I need to be pumped up in order to get this done. So you put so much emotion around it when the emotion doesn't need to be there. And like I tell my kids, and I was working with a younger lady, and she's 24. And I said, I was working with her the other day, and I said, sometimes we just have to put on our big girl panties. And I said, as grown people, you have to do stuff that you don't really want to do, but you have to get it done. So get it done and know in your head, you got to get it done. And sometimes you think that succeeding has everything to do with you, you getting the task done. Sometimes it's about getting the task done. I'm looking to see if I have any questions or anything. So once again, if you have a question, just type it into the chat box. And you believe that you have to be in a certain mood to do something. Again, you're attaching all this emotion to procrastination. But you know that you're not at your best when you are procrastinating, when you put something off and you push it aside. And so there are things that you can do that will help you get through procrastination. A lot of times you can become easily distracted because you don't want to do it. So you start and you make yourself feel good and you say, okay, I'm gonna start on this. And then all of a sudden you are distracted. And it's funny because my daughter the other day, she's a prime example. She's a junior in high school. That's the baby daughter. She's the only one left here at home with me. Hallelujah. But the baby daughter, she had a research paper, an 8-page research paper that she's telling me on Sunday that's due on Monday. So she put all of this off to the last minute. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then she's trying to rush me home from church and doing stuff because she procrastinated. And I said, this was due. Why did you put it off? Okay, I know the reason, because of procrastination. Because it's not something you want to do. Who wants to write a research paper? And so then by that night, probably about 8:30, she came and brought her phone to me. And she said, here, keep this. Do you know why she did that? Because easily distracted. This cell phone can keep her from achieving and from doing what she needed to do because of distractions. And so when you're procrastinating and you're afraid of getting something done, then you will put it off. So when she gave me her phone, she said, guess what? I was able to get 3 pages done within an hour because I wasn't distracted anymore. So you're easily distracted. So, we got to face the facts. Some tasks are not going to be exciting and fun. You just have to get through that and understand, what, and when I give you the steps, you'll understand why. Just face it. Yeah, everything is not exciting to do. So, but being grown is a part of, still we have to do things that we don't necessarily want to do. So putting them off is not going to, get it done. It's not going to make it better. It really makes it worse because now you've added stress onto it. So here's some steps that will help you to tackle procrastination. Number 1, you need to make a list. Make a list of what you need to do and prioritize it. So whatever the things that you need to get done, I'm telling you, I live by list. Because if you don't have some type of structure, your days are just haphazardly and you're going through and you're not going to get the things done. And definitely not the things that you don't want to do. They are last. But you need to make a list and prioritize it and say, okay, where does this particular task fall? Number 2, you need to set realistic goals. Set those goals. Okay, let's keep up with the example of the garage. I need to get the garage cleaned out. And set a goal for that. What does that look like? You set a goal for it, as well as a specific task that is involved in reaching that goal. So when I work with my clients, I have them, how they do it is it's a sheet. What are the goals that you want to get done? But also, what do you need to get to achieve the goal? So if I were going to clean out the garage, you know what? I would need some large, probably leaf size uh, garbage bags, because there's going to be some things I'm going to throw away. There's going to be some things that I'm going to need to give in a giveaway. I'm going to need to have some storage things. I'm going to make sure I need to have the cleaning supplies that I need, because the last thing that you want to do is start a task that you don't want to do, and then you don't have everything you need to complete it. Because then guess what? That's your reason. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to stop. Oh, we have to stop, go to the store. Now you're not going to get it done. So you have to be very specific about the goal and the task and what's going to help you get that done. And then number 3, you have to set meaning to the task. When you set meaning to the task, it's like, well, what do you mean by that? The meaning is, okay, I need to clean out the garage, something I don't want to do. But the meaning is, guess what? So I can park in it. And that my car won't get destroyed if there is a storm, or that I'm in the garage and I don't have to get out in the rain. So when you set a meaning that's attached to it, whether or not the job is exciting itself, the task is exciting itself, you will get it done. So set some type of meaning to it. What does this mean, and why do I need to get this done? Number 5, and please don't forget this. People forget this one all the time. You have to reward yourself. What does that mean, rewarding yourself? When you get something done that you don't like to do, I always tell people it is one of the keys to motivation, the motivation theory, is to reward yourself for getting it done. Say, you know what, when I get this done, I'm going to go for a day at the spa or whatever your reward is. And then number 5, you need to estimate the amount of time that you think it's going to take you to clean out the garage, and then increase it by 100%. Say, okay, you know what? You increase that, because generally it's going to take longer. So now if you set a 7-hour day, you say, oh, I can get this done in 3 hours, and you increase that by another 100%. Then it's like, okay, now you have the whole day that you're setting aside. Guess what? When you get it done in lesser time, it makes you feel better. But because when you underestimate how long it's going to be, I'm telling you, that keeps the procrastination. You'll start it and you won't stop it. I'll only set aside this much time. So this helps you to tackle procrastination. And it's really all about the meaning, and you making that decision and that choice and saying, I don't want to procrastinate any longer, because yes, it does affect my stress. It affects how I think. It affects how I move. You just don't need to add additional stress to your lives. There's so much that's going on that we can't control. When you can't control something, I encourage everybody to definitely to control that. And so I have so much information to give you. These were a lot of tips and strategies and pointers that will help you working yourself through fear. Don't let the fear paralyze you. I have other things and resources that I have created that I am so excited to share. And I have a special offer for those of you on the call tonight on the webinar. I have something called the GPS, the training courses with the GPS, and I'm going to show you that offer now. You should be able to see it on the screen. And it's the Gladney Prosperity System training course. And this training course is a system that I have created that works with you with your relationships, with your finances, and with your health. Those are the top 2 things that people stress out about and have so many issues. It's concerning relationships and the finances. And it's a kit, and it has all of this information and workbooks, and has script cards, things that can help you know what to say, budgets, everything that you need to create amazing life. And it's a training course. And so you get the kit as well as the training that we do with it. It's 4 weeks, 1 hour. We do webinars, we do teleseminars to get you through this. And when you come out on the other side, I like to think of it as success in a box, emotional wellness in a box. And we have that available. And it is generally $9.97. But we have it today for only $4.97. You could just click it and go to there, click the link, and enroll in the class. And I'm telling you, your life is going to change. If you enroll in the class, we have giveaways that is worth $497 itself tonight. You will be getting a session that I did with one of my partners, and he's a multimillionaire, and we work together. And it's called The Secrets to Automatic Success in your life, in your health and your finances. And we give all of these things, and it's an 8 hours of information that will literally change your life. And you're going to get that for free, as well as a free copy of my book. And if you're in the driver's seat, why are you lost? So if you enroll in the GPS training course tonight by 12 o'clock, all of that is going to be in your inbox, free, and I will tell you exactly when the course is going to start, and all that. So I have some other stuff. Go to my website, creatingamazinglives.com, and you can enroll in my Success Club. It's only $9.99 a month. I mean, it's like two Starbucks trips for the month. And you become in a VIP Success Club, and you have the back seat. You have the back, I was going to say back seat, but I mean, you get to go backstage with a lot of stuff. So we do coaching, group coaching. It's a lot of privileged things that you'll get, VIP passes to some of our events and things that we do. That's on creatingamazinglives.com. I have so much information out there to help you change your life, and that this is just the beginning. Wanted to get you past the fear of going to the next level, and it is really can help you create that amazing life that you so desire and that I know exists out there. So, if you have questions, please just type it in the chat box. If not, I'd love to have you as a part of our class, a GPS training class. You can go and click the offer, and it's only $497. It's generally $997. And I said, you know what, I'm throwing in all this extra stuff for free. So if you enroll in that tonight by 12 o'clock, then that offer definitely stands. We're going to continue to give free webinars and free information to the general public. But like I said, if you're part of our VIP Success Club, then you get additional information that other people don't, and special calls and benefits and tickets and all that kind of thing. So you can get that on my website, creatingamazinglives.com. There's some other resources there, so go there. And I'm here to help you to build and transform your mind, to transform your life. I do have the radio show, the Dr. Gladney Radio Show. It comes on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. on voiceamerica.com. You can go to my Facebook page and click on, and there you listen live or on demand. Tomorrow we're talking about why women cheat, and we're going to have the detective from Cheaters on. So we'd love to have you join us there as well. And again, thank you so much for your time and your attention tonight. I don't see any questions, and that's really a good thing, I guess, because I've given you some keys and strategies and secrets to overcoming fear and procrastination, so that don't have to stop you. So the next time, I want to hear those success stories. Email me at info@drgladney.com. If you don't follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. I'm on all the social medias because, like I said, my mission is to help you create an incredibly amazing life. And so I am, again, excited that you join us tonight in this 50 minutes. I hope that it transforms you and you take this information, change your life, enroll in the training program, go join the VIP Success Club, get yourself plugged in so that you can literally change your life. This is Dr. Gladney. I am so excited that you were a part of this with me. Stay tuned for more to come. Share and tell your friends, because I am the emotional wellness and mind doctor, and I will help you use the power of your mind to manage your life. Go out and have an incredibly amazing rest of your week. Good night.